Hiya, my name's Charlie and welcome to my channel and welcome to today's video. And as you can tell from the title, today's video is my predicting the Women's Prize for Fiction shortlist. So on Wednesday the 24th of April, this coming Wednesday at 8 AM BST, the Women's Prize for Fiction shortlist will be announced, which we're all very excited for. So as a heads up, that evening at 8 PM BST, myself, Alice and Jem will be live to talk to you guys over on Jem's channel, so I will put a link in the description where to find that, yeah, I hope lots of you can come and join us and chat with us, because we just love chatting with you guys about all of the Women's Prize books and stuff. It's our favourite thing ever. So yeah, anyway, now I'm gonna get into talking to you guys about which books I've read and trying and my wish list, and then my predictions. I don't know how accurate any of this will be, but still. So far from the Women's Prize for Fiction list that I've read 9 and I've DNF'd 2. So I'll run through the list of the ones I've read. So in order from what I can see in front of me, I've read Hangman by Maya Bingham. I've also read In the Defence of the Act by Effie Black. I've read Brotherless Night by V.V. Ganeshanathan. Then I've read Restless Dolly Maunder, Enter Ghost by Isabella Hamad, Soldier Sailor by Claire Kilroy, 8 Lives of a Century-Old Trickster by Mireille Lee. I've DNF'd The Blue Beautiful World by Karen Lord. I have DNF'd Western Lane by Chetna Marie. I've read Ordinary Human Failings by Megan Noland, and I've read A Trace of Sun by Pam Williams. So now I'm going to get into my wish list. I'm going to go through them from like my least favourite to my favourite. Obviously, if I've read them, and I enjoy all 6 of these, to be clear. So yeah, that's why they're on my wish list. Right. So the first one on my wish list, and in at number 6, I have got 8 Lives of a Century-Old Trickster by Mireille Lee. Right, so in this book, we go to the Golden Sunset retirement home, and there is an obituarist who is recording, like, obviously people within that home, the home's lives, and is asking for, like, I think she's asking for like one word to define like their lives, and they chat to obviously the main character of the book, and she says, no, I will not say one word, I've got 8 words for you. And so obviously the story sort of ensues from there, and we're sort of like going on a journey with this character and hearing all about experiences she's had in her life. And it sort of reads, I believe the author prior to writing this novel wrote short stories, and I think that some of those stories that she'd published as short stories appear as chapters in this book. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I feel like the latter half of it lost me a little bit. I feel like not the sort of the penultimate chapter, I feel that it was a little bit long for me personally, and I felt like but overall I thought it was a really enjoyable book. And the beginning of it, sort of, I had sort of 5-star feels because I really enjoyed her writing. So yeah, that's why it's included on my list. So obviously I hope this one gets listed. The next book I'm going to talk to you about is a book that I would have considered to be a book that I would never have even really like read fully, let alone completed and enjoyed. I think enjoyed is probably the wrong word, but I'll tell you about that in a second. The book is Hangman by Maya Bingham. So this book is very unusual. The plot of it, I'll tell you I say the plot because it doesn't really read like that as such. When you read it, you'll know. But the premise of it is basically there is an unnamed character who is travelling over from the US after living there for 26 years and going back to their homeland in the sub-Saharan Africa. So and it's sort of like, so they're on a plane, and it's sort of like then they go meet their cousin and trying to find their brother, sort of thing. I think that's the idea. That's the blurb on the blurb, but it doesn't really, it's so weird. So I read the first chapter and I was like, I honestly thought that based upon the first chapter that I was probably going to DNF this book, being honest. I felt like I felt very claustrophobic and I was really struggling with it, and it felt like the book was sort of suffocating me. Anyway, and at one point I even said to the girls, Gem and Atlas, I was like, oh, I miss Pod. I really, really miss Pod, because that Pod was like a book from last year everyone was talking about. You'll understand if you know. If you know, you know. So anyway, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to carry on. I just want to see what happens. And then it's something about the book sort of like hypnotised me. And I was like, I couldn't put it down. So I sort of started it after lunch. And then I was like sucked into this crazy book world. And yeah, I just didn't stop reading it until I'd finished it. I know it's obviously quite short. It's 200 pages, but it's very tangential, it's very, yeah, like, so it goes off in a million different directions and you never really it's not like a solid thing. It feels like it's not something you can like hold. It feels like something that it's like almost like corn flour. You can't like define its form. It's like, it's not like so you know when you mix corn flour with water and you think it's like a liquid, but it's not a liquid, it's a solid. So it's very undefinable, and that's how I feel like that's how I feel about Hangman. But yeah, there were so many bits in it that made me laugh. I was confused often, and I had a theory like quite early on, but I was wrong. And yeah, and I was like stopping and like grabbing my family and like reading bits to them, so I was driving them crazy anyway. So yeah. So anyway, so therefore I had to I couldn't not include it on the list, because I just, whilst it sort of like, I sort of loved and hated it in one breath, I just couldn't stop reading it, and I just think it's so clever. It's just so cleverly done. I think like Maya Bingham is such a clever writer, so if this gets shortlisted, I believe this will win, just because it's so clever and I've never read anything like it ever. So the pick number 4 I've got is Ordinary Human Failings by Megan Noland. This is it's a much more gentle story. It's set in I say that because it's obviously, it has got some very hard-hitting things and it's based upon, got some very brutal things within it, but it's just those ordinary human, as the title describes, it's those sort of like ordinary human moments, and there's something in it that is just so relatable. We have the main character in this is Carmel. Yeah, and like I said, I think I said it's set in the 1990s. We start in Ireland and then we go over to the UK. And there's in the background, there's like a terrible incident has happened to this family, which it's not really about that as much as the relationship with Carmel. So it's like these little choices that have been made by the characters, and each of those, and sort of the knock-on impacts of all of those little decisions. And yeah, I just found there's something about it that's so relatable, but so beautiful. Like, it's just, yeah, I felt like there was a lot of heart to it. I just really thought it was just so well done, and I love the writing. I really want to read more by Megan Noland. I know she's got another book out prior to this, which was Acts of Desperation, I believe, so I definitely want to head to that. Yeah, I just thought it was really well done, so and I really enjoyed it, so that's why it's on my shortlist. In at number 3 is Soldier Sailor by Claire Kilroy. I feel like this book has had so much buzz, and quite rightly so. It was a 5-star read for me. It was the first of the 5-star reads on this list, and it's those of you will know the premise of this. It's a mother who has sort of, the mother is soldier, the baby is sailor, and it's sort of we're following them, and it's about her relationship with her husband. It's about her experiences, her thoughts as a mother. It's sort of her internal monologue, as it were. And yeah, I recommend the audiobook of this, which I'll put the narrator on the screen, because she was just amazing. And it was just, yeah, I just really connected with the main character. I just thought it was just so wonderful. It's just so gorgeous. It really touched me, really moved me, and it, like, yeah, again, it was there's a simplicity to it, but I really think it was just so well done, and I just adored it. Yeah, so yeah, it definitely deserves all the hype in my opinion. So I couldn't not include it, and it definitely will be on my, I feel like these ones will be on my favourites of the year, potentially. So yeah. Then in at number 2, actually I've got the order in the wrong way. In Defence of the Act would have been my number 3, so excuse me. Just bear with me. This morning is one of those mornings. In Defence of the Act by Effie Black. I had to include this on my shortlist. I just loved it so much, and it's really surprised me. This obviously tackles the brutal subject matter of suicide. So obviously content warnings for that, and there is a lot. It's talked about really regularly, and it's just triggered content warnings. But yeah, it surprised me. The beginning a bit of it reminded me somewhat of Matrescence that was on the non-fiction long list. There's sort of like sciencey bits at the beginning, and it's talking about spiders and like nature, how there's like suicide in nature and things like that. So yeah, so that's what it sort of reminded me of that. But yeah, again, this book, In Defence of the Act, had so much heart to it, and I felt like it was very, very readable, despite the heaviness of the subject matter. I feel like it sort of has like very almost contemporary feel to it. You'll know, again, like I said, if you read it, you'll understand in how it's written. But yeah, again, it's not something I've really read about before. I felt like it was quite original to me, based upon things I've read, and yeah, whilst also being really stopping and making me think. Yeah, so 100% I want this on the shortlist. I don't know whether it will be, but yeah, I loved it. I loved it with all my heart. My favourite from the list, my number 1, is Brotherless Night by Vivi Ganashanathan. So in this book we follow 16-year-old Sashi in her family that I think she's the only girl. I think that's right. And so she's obviously got numerous brothers, and Sashi wants to be a doctor, and it's sort of like talking about how it's obviously there are connections to the Tamil Tigers within this book, because obviously it's like I said, it's set in Sri Lanka in the Civil War times, and it's sort of how she sort of how her world gets tangled up in it. I don't really want to spoil it too much because yeah, and it's I think the main character, I think parts of this were based on real life, which I only found out after I'd read it, only recently. So yeah, if you don't want spoilers for this book, don't look up anything about that. Just be aware of that, because that would be massively plot spoilery. But yeah, no, again, this book, again, it has so much to do with her family, Sashi's family, and the characters within this were just drawn so well. And again, it even though I had read a lot about the Sri Lankan Civil War when I read The 7 Means of Mali Amida, and I'd done reading about it, again, there were elements of this that made me think and made me go down other rabbit holes and find out more. And yeah, I just loved the writing. I love Vivi Ganashanathan's writing, so much so that as soon as I finished it, I actually downloaded, she's got I think she's got a previous one out called Love Marriage, which made me laugh because obviously one of the lead judges, the chair judges, Monica Ali's, one of her books was called Love Marriage. So you know, because I love this book so much, I feel like I'm going to struggle to talk about it, but I literally adored it. I loved the plot, I loved the pacing, I loved the characters, I loved the writing. It was like tick, 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 all of the things that I love. I just adored this book, and I am definitely going to get a copy of it, and I want to get it signed when I go to the Women's Prize Live in June. So yeah, it's my favourite book of the year so far, and I don't think anything else will top it. I just loved it. I loved it. So now that was my wish list. Put the picture on screen, you can see all the 6 books. They're the books that I really want to see shortlisted. Obviously, my wish list is based upon the books that I have read. There are still numerous books on the long list that I haven't actually got to yet, namely The Wren, The Maiden, River East, River West, and I haven't tried Then She Fell. I feel like could be a favourite as well, because I've loved Alicia Elliott's like memoir, and also my sister read and loved Night Bloom. So obviously this wish list is based upon what I've read, so that like given once I've read all of them, my opinions may change, and books that I haven't put on there may in fact appear. So yeah, just bear that in mind. Now we're going to get on to my actual predictions. My predictions for the shortlist are Brotherless Night. Obviously that's my favourite, you know, that you guys know. That has to be shortlisted, surely. I mean, it was shortlisted for the Carol Shields. So then I put Soldier Sailor. Again, it feels quite original to me. I love the writing. I feel like that a lot of the judges will probably, hopefully they'll connect with it and they won't find it like too simple or anything like that, because it's definitely not. It's so clever. I just think it's really well done. So that's my prediction. Then I believe Western Lane will get shortlisted, because whilst it wasn't a book for me, I know that loads of people love that book and loads of people connect with it really, really strongly, and it was obviously shortlisted for the Booker, so I believe obviously it's got, based upon that, I think it has a high chance of being shortlisted. Then the fourth book I believe will be shortlisted is The Wren by Anne Enright. Obviously Anne Enright has got history with the Women's Prize, so it wouldn't be surprising if she got shortlisted. The last two places I've got for the shortlist, I put Enter Ghost by Isabella Hamad, because this obviously talking about relevant, really super relevant themes within it, and it's got like a book, like obviously it's got like bookish elements, because obviously Shakespeare's Hamlet is obviously, it's the book directly has links to that. So yeah, and I did think the writing in that was really well done. It's just it wasn't really necessarily wholeheartedly my favourite. And then lastly but not leastly, the book that I believe will get shortlisted is And Then She Fell by Alicia Elliott. I've read Alicia Elliott's writing before, like I said, and I just feel like this book sounds like it has potential to be shortlisted. Obviously, I just feel like there are elements within it that sound very Women's Prize-y. So yeah, that is my prediction for the shortlist. Let me know what your predictions are. Let me know what you think is going to get, what you think is going to make. Let me know what books you don't want to see listed. Let me know all of those things. Tell me how you've got on with the reading the Women's Prize. And also, as a final like little notification, I know loads of you would have seen on my community tab, hopefully, myself and Charlie are hosting the Poetry Readathon 2024. So if you're interested in joining in that, it's not too late. I'll link my announcement video for that in the description, so you can check it out there. So yeah, I hope that you're all well, and sending you guys lots of love. Chat to you soon.